right, everyone, welcome back. It's Resident Skeptics with Jordan, myself, and Connor. Woo. We've had some difficulties today, but we're here. Connor didn't let the worst of all of the technical glitches get to him, unlike some people, like Joe Biden, who can't read a teleprompter. You liked that. You liked my segue.
I did like that. I do like that a lot. Well, no. He does read a teleprompter.
Everything
he does. On it.
It's completely true. He does. He says, repeat that line again. Repeat that line again. And then he goes for it. I do appreciate that it was so smooth, the way that he did it. So
yeah, no, they just, honestly, all they need to do is not put the cue lines in there and he'll probably be fine.
Right.
He can probably read through that.
Right. I think they've probably learned for the next time, maybe not to do that. But today we're going to be talking about Joe Biden's failing economy, failing personal life, failing health.
Yeah.
Everything is failing.
Do you think he's wearing contacts? Because if he doesn't need contacts, I will say his eyes must be doing pretty good to read the teleprompter.
I don't.
Although the teleprompter could be.
I mean, I don't know how they put it in those rooms, and how like reporters don't just like put up their phone and like take a picture.
I couldn't tell you there. Did you catch where he nibbled on his wife's finger?
What?
That's a no. She did not catch that. Yeah, no, she was. So Jill was the one that was talking. All right. So she's talking and doing hand gestures. And apparently in the video that I was watching, her hand kept coming close to his face, kept coming as she was doing these gestures. So he was just, and at some point, like she just kind of held it there and he just kind of like bit down on her finger.
Okay. Does this remind you of the video? What's this guy? His name's like Patty Keaton or something, who like has these robots like listen to speeches. And so he had this robot listen to Joe Biden's speeches. Oh. And remember that part? He was like, don't touch my wife. That's my finger food. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember that.
Okay, well, you're going to have to go look it up. It's super funny. Unfortunately, what's happened with the economy is not quite as funny. We're looking at an inflation high of 9.1%. That is our high. Now, we were told not to worry about this. We were told that, our economy is super duper strong.
Everything's on the up and up, guys.
Yep. Our White House press secretary, she said the U.S. is stronger economically than we have ever been in history. I might have added the ever part, but she said it's the strongest that it's been in history. And she says, quote, this is from the New York Post. This is from a June press conference. She says, we're doing everything that we can and we have a plan. The press secretary responded, here's the thing. We have a plan, okay? Republicans do not have a plan. This is starting to sound like Kamala Harris to me.
I was going to say, that does sound like Kamala.
And she says, what they want to do is take away rights from the American people. And then Peter Doocy for president. That's just my take on it. He asks, do you think it's possible that your plan just is not popular with the American people right now? She says, I don't think it's that our plan is not popular with the American people. We know that the American people are feeling the high costs. Okay, we understand what they are feeling because when you look at inflation, when you look at where we are economically, and we are stronger economically than we've been in history. When you look at the unemployment numbers at 3.6%, when you look at the job numbers, more than 8.7 million new jobs created, that is important. So, but here's the issue that we're having is that even if, we have a slightly low percentage number of people that are unemployed, the prices have still gone up.
Exponential. All the raises that we were seeing with, especially in the fast food industry, is probably the most noticeable one. McDonald's, Five Guys, all of the Burger King, they're all basically paying upwards of near $20 an hour, and we're in North Carolina.
Right.
Seeing those signs. And I saw over 20 when I was in California just the other day. And any raises that had happened during the pandemic, because they were just trying to get people to come and work because nobody wanted to work, is now meaningless.
Right.
It's just completely been obliterated by these prices. By the way, to fill up the truck that I was driving, I'm forgetting how many gallons, but in California, it cost me $112 to fill up about 3/4 tank on a Dodge 1500.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot.
$112.
Yeah, so I'm looking at a chart here. So it says the all items index increased 9.1% for the 12 months ending June, the largest 12-month increase since the period ending November 1981. So this is essentially a record. We haven't had inflation this bad in 40 years. Almost 40 years, 1981, actually a little bit over that. The energy index rose 41.6% over the last year, the largest 12-month increase since the period ending April 1980. The food index increased 10.4% for the 12 months ending in June, and the largest 12-month increase since the period ending in 1981 of February. So for gasoline, if I'm looking here, it's 59.9%. For energy overall, we're looking at 41.6%. Let's also take a quick look at new vehicles. So new vehicles is looking to be 11.4%, and then used vehicles are 7.1%. So that's a pretty big difference there.
Yeah, no, those are huge numbers. And even with those differences, it still feels like when it comes to shopping for new vehicles right now, you might as well just buy the new one.
Right.
Because the prices are so close that to get a car that's, within, we'll say the last 5 years with under 30,000 miles is only costing you maybe a couple of grand less than buying a new one, getting a full warranty. Nobody's pre-owned it, smoked in it, wrecked it, drove it recklessly or even harshly. Like it's not there. So it's like you have no wear and tear. You have a full warranty, brand new car. You're the first owner.
Right.
It doesn't make sense right now to buy used cars.
Right. And I was trying to convince my mom of this because my mom, she's about 54 at this point. And so my parents, they've always had used cars. They've never gotten a new car. And so I was trying to convince her. I was like, pretty much everyone at this point is getting a new car instead of buying a used one because it's just not worth the money.
Yep.
Like typically, if you're getting a used car, at least this is how I was kind of trained to do it, was try to get it around 100 to 120K miles. And that's typically pretty good. But if you're getting a car at that point, say you're getting it for maybe 10 grand for 120K, you might as well pay a bit more to have like 100K less miles on it.
Yeah.
It's a better investment overall. And my mother was like, well, cars aren't investments. And I'm like, well,
what?
It depends on if you're just getting a beater, that's going to make it for a little bit short.
If you're getting one to just get you from point A to B, but if you're looking for something to carry you for the next several years and not be taking it into the shop repeatedly, that's an investment.
Yeah, agreed. Completely agreed. But Joe Biden, listen, he doesn't really want to hear it. Everything's fine. It's like the ultimate, inflation has set America's economy on fire, and we are being gaslit like no other about it. Like the press conferences that are happening do not match what's happening on the ground. And listen, I could give you and our audience all these different numbers. Like, you can go look this up. It's all here for you. They have it in a nice chart, and they have lots of long paragraphs that you can read about inflation. But everyone already feels the cost. I don't have to show you these statistics for you to understand that something is terribly wrong. And not only do we have that, but you know what the House of Representatives just did? They passed a bill for $800 billion. As if I believe it's at $800 billion. Fact check me on it, but I was reading it the other day.
I'll look into it.
Yep, $800 billion, if I remember correctly. And I was like, why are we spending more money that we don't have? Tell me it. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. I got it right. 800.
U.S. House of Representatives passed a bill on Thursday paving the way for the defense budget to exceed $100 billion next year, authorizing $37 billion in spending on top of the record. Okay, so it's not an additional $800 billion. They've just increased it.
So they
$37 billion so that they could get beyond $800 billion for our defense spending.
Okay, so it's $37 billion then.
But that means that our defense spending, which is already a record high globally,
that's what I'm saying too,
is now higher.
Yeah. Okay, so I read the article wrong, but it's about $37 billion then. Okay, so $37 billion is not $37; it's $37 billion. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, that was just 2 days ago.
Yeah, and I feel like this happens with the Republicans, but I do feel like it happens more with Democrats, where they are much more eager to spend money that we don't have, while pretending that everything is fine for middle and lower class Americans. That's kind of the issue. And so I think Biden is feeling this. I don't know what he's feeling these days. He might be having nerve damage. We don't know. We don't know.
Well, I mean, he's still saying he's going to run.
Yeah, he's not going to run.
For his second term.
He's not going to run.
But the DNC seems to starting to be propping up, what's his face? Gavin Newsom out in California.
Yeah, our living, breathing Kendall. He does have good teeth. I'll give him that. He does have good teeth. But people aren't happy with Biden. I know. Did it get to the lowest of like 39% approval rating? His own party doesn't want him to run at this point.
I thought that it was below 38%.
Yeah, it could be. It very well could be. But his own party, I think his own party pretty much doesn't want him to run.
I would say so, but honestly, I don't know that they have a stronger candidate.
Well, here's kind of the evidence, and this will actually segue us into our next topic about Hunter Biden. So we have to remember that there was a point during the election that Hunter's laptop was found, and this was completely blocked by social media. And so now we have all these stories about Hunter Biden's alleged iCloud leak with a lot of inappropriate content, a lot of stuff on there. Yeah, there's honestly too much to cover.
I don't know how much we could even talk about some of it. I read some of the articles, luckily skipping the pictures.
Yeah. So I can read some from this article. It's called The Daily Sabah, which sounds very fun. But I've seen like many, I feel like, episodes of stuff about this. And so it's all pretty consistent. And so just going to quote from this article.
Well, if you want to update on that poll, at least from Reuters, I've heard both pronunciations. But the most recent, he's been jumping around from 59 to 55% of disapproval. So his approval ratings are below 40 at this point.
Yeah, so I'm seeing roughly 36 to 39%.
Democrats still giving quite a bit of support there. 74% versus 25%. They're more
optimistic than we are, I guess. But anywho, just based off this article, quote, an alleged hack into the iCloud account of U.S. President Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, over the weekend exposed a cache of inappropriate content, including the former's name saved as Pedo Peter, which Pedo Peter is referring to President Joe Biden. Now, we don't know if he's actually, we can't say.
Where is he getting the Peter from?
Hunter Biden is not, I wouldn't say he's an incredibly intelligent individual, despite the fact that he's the smartest man that Joe Biden has ever known. It's probably just because they both start with a P.
But I don't understand where he's getting Peter from.
I think it's genuinely because it's just alliteration. Pedo Peter.
Maybe.
Think about it. Yeah. That's my guess. So that's not good. The first son allegedly spent $30,000 in 5 months for prostitutes and transported them across state lines. He also allegedly disguised checks to them as payments for medical services. Meanwhile, the U.S. Secret Service said on Monday that they are aware of the alleged Hunter Biden iCloud hack. At this time, we are not in position to make public comments on potential investigative actions, but I can assure you the Secret Service, along with other federal law enforcement partners, are aware of the social media posts and claims referencing Mr. Biden. Spokesperson Anthony, that's an interesting last name, Guglielmi? Guglielmi. That's what he said in a statement. So there you go. Some stuff there on Hunter Biden. And so I think the reason why they're letting this kind of stuff, why they're letting some of this stuff kind of leak itself out is probably because they kind of know the writings on the wall with Joe Biden, that there's just too much against him.
Yeah, so they're not protecting him like they did back in the 2020 elections.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, because anything about Hunter Biden's laptop initially was completely buried.
right?
By everybody. And I think we've noted on this podcast that the New York Post was, they were the ones that broke the story, and they were banned from Twitter.
Right.
Because of that.
But now
which
we have
is
all
election
these
meddling, by the way, as far as I'm concerned.
I would agree with that. I do think that the election was rigged, probably in the sense that the media did the rigging. I feel like that's like a for sure thing. Yeah,
I have serious doubts, and Trump needs to jump off of the claim. He's still going on about having lost.
I'm honestly so sick of that. I'm so sick of it.
I think I'm trying to remember who it was that was talking about, like, Trump's like his entire like mantra, his theme is that he's a winner, and you don't like if you're a winner and you lost, like, you leave it and you come back and you win again. But he just keeps on complaining and whining about how he lost. And it's like, well, just come back and do it again. I'm not convinced that I want him to come back and do it again, because I just don't know that I want 4 more years of that media. But I mean, we discussed on the last podcast with Isaiah is that we can't have DeSantis and Trump running together. It would split the party for sure.
Yeah.
That would give somebody like Newsom or even Clinton a chance at running.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't count out Clinton. Like, I wouldn't count her out of that race.
Oh, no, I'm not counting her out. She's got that dream since college that she was going to be.
And Joe Biden's ran like 1,000 gajillion times, and he did manage to become president, but...
He did.
Again, I don't know. But all that to say, I think that they know the writing's on the wall. Biden's just about done. His brain is a cold bowl of leftover oatmeal. There's nothing there. Someone is pulling the strings. I don't know who, but essentially I think a lot of Americans, they're really not okay with this. And I think...
No, I don't think so. And I think any that say they are just kind of grinning and baring their teeth at this point.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of they don't want to go back and say they made a mistake.
Yeah. All the people that were so gung-ho about Joe Biden on social media have shut their mouths now because he's a disaster. And I think what makes this worse is that he's not even acknowledging it. They're just saying, oh, everything's fine. Like, what could be more annoying? Like, think about when you go to your parents and something's genuine, like, hey, Mom, my leg is gashed and I'm bleeding. Oh, no, it's fine. No, it's fine. Wouldn't that be annoying and painful?
It would be. And it's also annoying that, a lot of this bleeding, at least that they're blaming it on Russia. They're blaming it on Putin and his war on Ukraine, and that everybody's got to go and help them, and that it's disrupting supply chains, which COVID already did that. So this is just exacerbating the problem. But on top of it, Biden did say, we're going to stick this out until this is won, which means hang in there, guys. Basically, while he's bleeding his country out to go and support. And I am not saying by any means that we should not be in support of what's happening over in Ukraine because of Russia. But I don't know where the wisdom is in letting your country bleed out its finances and basically throwing us into an economic downturn or just down spiral. I don't know how that results in a strong country that's still going to be able to keep providing any kind of aid.
Yeah, I think what's probably going to end up happening is, we're pretty much already in it. We pretty much are in a recession at this point. I don't think there's really any doubt in anyone's mind.
We're at least at the beginnings of it.
Yeah, and the thing is that they don't want to acknowledge that, because technically you have to have 2 quarters of negative GDP. Was it again? Why can't I say it?
Nope, I don't know what you're trying to say.
GDP growth. There it is. GDP growth. And so they're like, oh, well, technically, we're not in a recession because the second quarter's not over. But we pretty much know at this point. And so we'd have to make it to the third quarter to find out. But basically, they're just trying to do everything they can to skirt around truth. Be like, oh, we're not technically in a recession yet. Oh, inflation's only at 9.1%, but everything's fine. Everything's fine. You saved 16 cents last year on 4th of July. So Biden's failing on that end. His son is an absolute mess, and I feel just like an overall security risk at this point.
And to top it off, the diary, Jill Biden's, or Ashley Biden's diary, which was eventually obtained by Project Veritas, that has been confirmed and verified by the FBI that diary is legit.
Yeah.
As far as the writings in there, they would have to corroborate it with other people in the family, but good luck doing that. Right. But I think the official story on that diary was that Ashley was checked into a rehabilitation center, and she left the diary there when she moved out. And the next person that came in found it. She sold it. I think she sold it directly to Project Veritas, but they were the ones that couldn't verify everything that was in it, so they didn't run with it, and they turned it into FBI. And then they got themselves raided. That's still happening. That whole I don't even know what to call that, but it's definitely, having the feds look into personal affairs of your daughter. So there's basically controversy surrounding all of them at this point, and the matriarch of the family is not any better. She hasn't been caught herself into a scandal yet, but
she did call Hispanics breakfast tacos.
Did she?
You didn't hear about that?
Okay, I heard something about it, but it was like somebody was trying to recount it to me, and they just couldn't quite articulate what it was.
She literally called Hispanics breakfast tacos.
In what context?
This is what amazes me. I don't know how this kind of stuff happens.
Okay.
I don't know how it happens I did listen to the clip. I'm still in shock that it happened. See, look, breakfast tacos. If you're looking it up.
All right, let's see here. They called me a breakfast taco.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. Right. It's just so bad. Like, wasn't the last time she was talking to an Hispanic community? She was like, "Okay, everyone, si padre." Do you remember that?
No, I don't really watch whenever she's up there. She's not the president.
Well,
she's the first lady, so
it was funny because she completely butchered Spanish. That's exactly what I did there. Si padre. She's trying to get everyone to say it with her. Oh, si padre,
Wait, what did she call them? Breakfast tacos?
Yeah, breakfast tacos. What is a breakfast taco?
It's usually made up of like eggs, basically.
That sounds kind of good.
So it just kind of depends. My favorite version would be corn tortilla, eggs, and chorizo.
Ooh.
Those three. So that's like a spicy pork meat.
I prefer just saying si padre over and over again. Just like Jill Biden.
You should probably double check that. Okay, where's her comments here? Breakfast. All right, we're just going to go to Fox News, whatever. Because they have it. So it's a family of gaffes. Jill Biden's breakfast tacos remark was not a gaffe. It was intentional and will drive Latinas. Okay. Well, I don't know if it was intentional, but do they have the rest of her?
Well, we're probably not going to find it today, but the clip is there. There are breakfast tacos being talked about by Jill Biden. That did happen.
Okay. So she compared Hispanics to being as unique as breakfast tacos. I mean, that's not quite the same as calling them breakfast tacos. Like,
oh yeah, that's kind of what I meant.
All the cute breakfast tacos coming across the border. Like, can you imagine if that was what she had said?
Yeah, no, I think there was kind of like a poll about like whether I put a poll out. I was like, hey, do you think that she should have said this? And I don't really think, I don't think anyone really wanted to answer because it's kind of, one, fair. We just don't have a large following on Instagram. But secondly,
that's right. So follow us on Instagram.
That's right.
And Facebook. Yep. And what else are we on this one? We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. We are also on YouTube. On there is Twitter. We're working on making that a regular. Yeah. We're on Publix. Are we on Truth Social? We might be.
I
need to look into that.
We're under new management, so we're trying to figure that out.
We're under new management. We are working into our setup, so it's probably going to change a couple of times here over the next couple of episodes.
If you haven't noticed, if you're watching this, the lights went out on two of our lights, so that it got a little moodier in here.
A lot of troubleshooting happened, so a lot of that time was kind of wasted as far as those charges.
Yeah, but anyway, let's go ahead. We don't have as much time today, but I do want to end it. Well, I mean, how do you want to end it? You know what? I'll let you end it.
We're
what do you
already
want to talk
into
about?
this. Let's see. I think you had an interesting video here from a professor.
Yes.
Would you like to move on to that?
Sure. Let's do that one. We did have a liberal professor, Kiara Bridges, Josh Hawley, during a Senate hearing, decide that he was going to ask her if men can get pregnant. And this is what she said.
Bridges, you said several times, you've used a phrase, I want to make sure I understand what you mean by it. You've referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. would that be women?
Many women, cis women, have the capacity for pregnancy. Many cis women do not have the capacity for pregnancy. There are also trans men who are capable of pregnancy, as well as non-binary people who are capable of pregnancy.
So this isn't really a women's rights issue.
We can recognize that this impacts women while also recognizing that it impacts other groups. Those things are not mutually exclusive, Senator Hawley.
Oh, so your view is that the core of this right then is about what?
So I want to recognize that your line of questioning is transphobic, and it opens up trans people to violence by not recognizing that.
Wow, you see that?
Stop it there. Stop.
All
So,
right. This is a professor.
yeah, she's a professor. And so listen, if you're trying to answer an argument, right, this would kind of be considered, I feel like, a little bit ad hominem, where instead of answering the question, she just makes an accusation. Mm-hmm. So, he's asking, hey, can men get pregnant? Is it only women that can get pregnant? She's like, that's transphobic. All right. And she really fails to answer the question in a meaningful way.
She starts off by saying that cisgender people can get pregnant and cisgender people cannot get pregnant. And she just immediately devolves into all of these terms that don't really have anything to do with getting pregnant.
No. The only people that can get pregnant are women.
Yep.
That's it. That's the end of the story. And I wonder, and if you listen to the entire clip, this is all over the internet. If you just look it up, you can find it, and you can find it unedited.
If anybody on the audience wants to find it on YouTube, it is called "Lib Professor Has Meltdown When Holly Asks If Men Can Get Pregnant," and that is from Blaze TV channel. So you can find that video there on YouTube.
Yeah. And yeah, that's with Blaze TV. They're a conservative group. I don't even remember what I was saying.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I killed your thought process.
You really did. But yeah, she can't answer the question very clearly.
And then throws out transphobe accusations based on him asking.
Well, here's the thing.
Who this applies to.
Right. Well, that's the thing here is like the idea of phobic. Like that really has to be defined of what phobic is. If being phobic is just, or transphobic is just asking certain questions out of curiosity, then that's a very wide net of like.
It is, and I don't know how you have a conversation about it other than just shut up and listen to me.
Well, it's meant to shut down the conversation. Mm-hmm. It's meant to be like, we're done. Like I think probably the answer that she gave before she said, that's transphobic was probably all she had. It was probably just that sentence. I'm pretty sure she said that sentence multiple times in her classroom, but that's all she has for here. And so Senator Hawley is going to keep going. He seems like a pretty smart guy. I've seen him in Senate hearings. I don't know much about him, but he does a good job. He's certainly smarter than this woman, from what I can tell.
Yeah, in the end, what she gives is a non-answer. And also on the subject of pregnancy and giving a non-answer, I found this clip back from May. So before Roe v. Wade got overturned, still excited about that. But we had a doctor who could not answer, basically couldn't answer where she fell on abortion. So let me pull through here. I'm just going to turn the volume down just a little bit here, and we'll start off here from the very beginning. So you can just see it's another non-answer from another liberal on another subject that is difficult, and they don't want to talk about it. So they just kind of give this wraparound. What would you say our last lady's? She just kind of keeps defaulting to being transphobic, basically.
Yes,
is what she does throughout
basically
most of the clip.
and she doubles down and says that you're denying the lives of trans people.
She did. I remember watching that. She was saying that he denied the existence of trans people,
and so she just doubles down.
Yeah. So she just keeps it. And this lady, blanking on her name right now. Hang on, I do have it in the notes. It is Dr. Yashika Robinson, and she's being questioned by Representative Mike Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I seek unanimous consent to enter into the record a statement for the record by Sarah Parshall-Perry, Senior Legal Fellow at the Meese Center for Legal and Judicial Studies at the Heritage Foundation.
Without objection.
Thank you. Dr. Robinson, I asked you earlier how one qualifies as being fully human, and you responded by saying that no one becomes a human, or that someone does become a human at the moment of birth. And I found that absolutely stunning, since you are not a political activist or an advocate, but you present yourself and purport to be a medical doctor. Your answers deny the plain truth of science and medical technology that anyone can see and understand, even if they don't have a medical degree. Obviously, I don't need to cite volumes of medical journals to prove the fact that an unborn child is a human being. As the Life Training Institute summarizes, quote, "From the earliest stages of development, the unborn are distinct, living, and whole human beings. They are not mere parts of larger human beings like skin cells are, but whole human entities capable of directing their own internal growth and development. This is not just a religious view, but a matter of the science of embryology." In its 1859 report on criminal abortion, the American Medical Association, no less, acknowledged that, quote, "The independent and actual existence of the child before birth as a living being was a scientific truth. Nothing has changed since that time. For more than 150 years, doctors have known that life begins at conception." A 1981 report to the United States Senate states, quote, "Physicians, biologists, and other scientists agree that conception marks the beginning of the life of a human being, and a being that is alive is a member of the human species. There is overwhelming agreement on this point in countless medical, biological, and scientific writings," unquote. So there's a picture up here. This is not a mere clump of cells. This is not.
So great. Kind of a long intro there, but he sets the foundation with quotes from medical journals, doctors, even Senate quotes, basically stating that life starts at conception, and some of them predate and some postdate Roe v. Wade and abortion.
All right.
And then he moves into, he seems to have a picture up there behind him. But we're going to go from the quotes of doctors from decades ago. They're probably still practicing, and then we're going to get to the modern doctor.
This is not an animal or some unknown species. Ma'am, that's a human being. And all of you here are confusing human value with human function. You are defining personhood by what somebody does rather than what they are. Scott Klusendorf summarized it this way. He said, although human beings differ immensely with respect to talents, accomplishments, and degrees of development, they are nonetheless equal because they share a common human nature. Humans have value simply because they are human. And if you deny this, it's difficult to say why objective human rights should apply to anyone. As I noted earlier, it is a self-evident truth that all human beings are made by their Creator and endowed by Him with certain inalienable rights. The first listed in our Declaration is the right to life. Since the medical doctor here wants to deny the facts and reality, let me ask the abortion advocate, Ms. Armbide, to answer my questions on this subject. Ma'am, you testified that you are, quote, unapologetic in seeking unrestricted abortion access. So I'm wondering, at what point is it not okay to abort a child? What age of gestation?
I trust all people to determine what they can and can't do with their bodies, full stop.
Okay.
I also believe that human rights, including access to the medical care that they need within their communities, is something that should be afforded everyone.
Great. Okay, so you support late-term abortion?
So stop it there. Stop it there. So this is the thing that people who advocate for abortion, when they're asked questions specifically about the baby in the womb, or the fetus as they like to call it, they will instead answer the question as if they were asked about the mom.
Yes.
That is always how they answer. They can't answer any other way. Because the moment you acknowledge that there is life in the womb, they've lost their argument. That's why they can never do it, even if they sound ridiculous and stupid. That's pretty much it.
Yep. And mind you, this is somebody who's advocating for full-term abortion.
Right. And so he's asking, essentially, if she agrees with full-term abortion, basically the moment before that baby comes out of the womb, she could hypothetically stab it and
that's
kill
actually
that baby.
That's actually where his questioning goes here, if you want to continue.
I don't know if we have time to continue today. Do you think we do?
I think we do.
Okay.
We're not still recording on the computer, but
okay. All right. Well, let's finish the clip and then we'll end it.
Sounds good.
I support all people and trust.
That means late-term abortion. Do you support partial birth abortion? In other words, the child is half delivered, and then the woman says, "My right, I want to take that one out." You support that?
I trust people to make decisions about their body.
Wow. Okay. What about so abortion should be allowed then, by your definition, for any reason, for any purpose, at any stage, right?
I trust people to make decisions about their body, and then when relevant, I think that they need to consult their medical practitioners and not
if it is, listen, let me just ask you this question. If it is not lawful and morally acceptable to take the life of a 10-year-old child, I assume you agree with that, right? That would be wrong, correct?
I believe that.
Okay, and a 2-year-old child, same thing, that would be murder. We would all agree that's wrong. Then what is the principal distinction between the human being that is 2 years old, or 9 months old, or 1 week old, or an hour old, than one that is 8 inches further up the birth canal in the uterus? What's the difference? Why is it okay in the latter case and not the former cases?
I trust people to determine what to do with their own bodies.
No, I can't.
Yep,
This
that's
is
what
done.
I wanted to get to.
That's
And
it.
at the very end, she just repeats exactly what she started with, which is just, I trust people to do what they will with their bodies.
And that's all the time we have left for today. Make sure you tune in next week for our next episode, hopefully longer than this one. And I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Don't forget to subscribe. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram.
Yeah. All right. This is Resident Skeptics. Tune in next time.